Scripture says all things that are hidden shall be revealed, and those things done in secret shall be exposed on the mountaintop.
Let's go, Rich. Let's go.
You watching Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it. You should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. The propaganda grammar, don't believe none of it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it. You should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it. You should tune in to Telehouse Publishing.
Negroes have listened to the trickery and the lies and the false promises of the white man now for too long, and they're fed up. They become disenchanted. They become disillusioned. They become dissatisfied, and all of this has built up frustrations in the black community that makes the black community throughout America today more explosive than all of the atomic bombs the Russians can ever invent.
I want to talk a little bit about our suspect and now defendant, Hunter Nadeau, 23 years old. He's a Nashua resident, and as we put out earlier this morning, he's been arrested and charged with reckless second-degree murder for shooting Mr. DeCesar. As the investigation continues, we expect that additional charges will be added, but we're in the early stages, and at this point, he's been charged with reckless second-degree murder. Mr. Nadeau is, as I said, a Nashua resident. He's a former employee of the club, and I want to talk a little bit about the statements he's made and what we know about his motive. There's been reports that he made certain statements such as Free Palestine, but based on the evidence we have gathered, Mr. Nadeau made a number of statements during the event, and we don't have any evidence at this time that would indicate that Mr. Nadeau was motivated by a hate-based motivation. In fact, I would say that at this point, the evidence leads us to believe that it is more likely that Mr. Nadeau was simply trying to make a number of statements to create chaos in the moment. Again, the investigation's in its early stages, and we're still gathering a lot of information. There were a lot of witnesses present. They heard different things. They saw different things. They had different perspectives. They might remember things differently. But again, at this point, we don't have any evidence to indicate that this was a hate-based act.
And we'll stop it right there. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. All praises due to the Most High. So surprisingly, they have released the photo of the 23-year-old who shot multiple people, killing one last night at a country club in Nashua, New Hampshire. And this is him right there, 23-year-old Hunter Nadeau. And Hunter is one of the whitest names that, a white boy can have. But as the Attorney General mentioned that he was an ex-employee at that country club, which leads me to believe he may have been disgruntled. Maybe some of those rich white people at that country club looked down on him. Maybe he wasn't from the best of circumstances. Maybe he was from a single parent home with a mother on welfare. I don't know why all of this white on white crime is happening lately, but it is very evident that there is a return of violence on people and institutions that may have been less favorable to black people. If you know, country clubs is a bastion. They're a lighthouse. They are inbred institution that for many years across the country have not allowed black people to join. And as you see from the video footage from the earlier video I released, none of the people at that country club were white. All of the people who were getting off the bus trying to meet their relatives, all of the people who were walking out trying to reunite with their relatives, they were white. And so, I used to work at a country club myself, so I've seen country clubs in the 1990s where no black people were. Nevertheless, this situation happened last night. They said he ran up in the wedding party. I guess it was the wedding reception. and he had a mask on and a gun. And they said that he screamed a lot of different things. One of them was Free Palestine. And another one, they said, at least your kids are safe. And then he started shooting. It is said that the man that was deceased, 59-year-old deceasor, he tried to approach him and protect him. They said somebody hit him in the head with a bottle, and then he ran out. Initially, they were saying it was two shooters, but, evidently it was only one, and he was the one. They're saying there is no motive or no connection to him and the person he killed, but it's definitely a connection to, once again, that institution that was the subject of this white-on-white violence. Now, if you don't know anything about the situation, just take a look at this video right here, which gives a little bit more details on what happened and the events surrounding last night's actions.
Vicki, thanks. We are following breaking news out of New Hampshire. One man is dead and two other adults are injured after a shooting at a country club in Nashua last night. Boston 25 News reporter Alyssa Azara is live from Sky Meadow Country Club with the very latest. Alyssa?
Kelly, it was a hectic scene here last night. We know that a wedding was going on nearby when the shooting happened. Some witnesses describing what felt like running for their lives. Officials say that the 23-year-old suspect and the victim had no known connection. So here's a breakdown of what else we know so far. Several police departments, including Nashua PD, responded here to the Sky Meadow Country Club last night for the shooting. The New Hampshire Attorney General says Hunter Nadeau entered the golf course area and shot and killed 59-year-old Robert Stephen DeCesar. During the shooting, two other adults were hurt, but we don't know the extent of their injuries at this time. One witness says they heard the shooter say, "Free Palestine," and quote, "the children are safe." The mayor spoke during last night's press conference and said, "You would never expect this to happen here in Nashua."
For any community like ours, this is a big tragedy that there would be such an incident. Thinking about the families that were affected, and it's just, for us, sad that it happened in our community.
Nadeau is facing one count of second-degree murder, with the AG saying more charges are expected as this investigation continues. Now, coming up, you'll hear from someone who lives nearby and says they heard several gunshots when the shooting took place. Reporting live from Nashua, New Hampshire, Alyssa Azara for your local station, Boston 25.
All right. And if you saw the people in that picture, I was stretching my neck and my eyes trying to see if I could see one black person amongst the attenders of that wedding party and that country club event. And I didn't see any. And so this is New Hampshire. New Hampshire has one of the whitest populations, I think 84% white and 2.7% black as a state, 1.5. In the city, Nashua, has about the same demographic. And in my research about this particular incident, I came across several articles of violent crimes in New Hampshire. And so the reason I always point out, the demographic or the racial makeup of the suspect in these videos is because we never get that same energy when it comes to violent crimes or violent shootings in America. It always seems like black crimes or black violence or gang shootings or, club disagreements are somehow more violent than this. These massive shooters, they always call it an isolated incident. This is isolated, but it's a continuous incident as well. We've seen, I don't know how many mass shootings in the last, couple of weeks, even, the last couple of months dealing with white people. And the high profile shootings of government officials. I think that was in Minnesota. The recent social media sensation, killing, and there's so many that's going on, but these somehow get swept under the rug. Like, you hear them talking about him. He was a former employee. They don't bring up his past. They don't bring up his record, his drug history, his driving history, his third grade stealing a pencil out of the teacher's pencil box history. None of that. There's none of the vilification, none of the dehumanization, none of the animalization, if that's a word. But if not, I just made it up. None of the animalization of Hunter Nadeau that we see in similar other cases. And so, once again, I don't celebrate the death of anybody, but all deaths should be treated fairly, and all criminals who commit similar acts should be treated with the same disdain as others. So, fortunately, this time, like I said, they released this photo now. The guy who shot the 5 police up there in Pennsylvania, I think Corderis Township, they have not released his picture yet, and he shot 5 police officers. So I'm wondering why are they protecting him, and he's also deceased. I'm pretty sure, like I said, sometimes when a white person commits some of these violent crimes, they always have to minimize the criminal and then focus more on the victim, garnering sympathy for the victim instead of condemning this also example of white violence. So we know the history of that in this country. And, you know, as I mentioned in the last video, sometimes the violence that ones perpetrate sometimes end up on their own doorstep, you know, being, you know, killed by their own kind. So we'll keep an eye on this. So once again, 1 person dead, 2 people shot by other gunfire, then several other people wounded while trying to skitter and skedaddle away from the gun violence. But, you know, y'all let me know what y'all think about this video in the comments. Y'all see the number 919-587-7782. And if you do like this content, please don't hesitate to subscribe, because by subscribing, once again, you help my videos get into the internet atmosphere with even more frequency and regularity. But thank you for watching, liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And most of all, I pray you peace and blessings.